We've kind of gone really broad, as you can imagine. Like, it was important that we do that stuff at the top, key marketing concepts, really important to remind ourselves or the importance of the website, because a lot of this discussion that we're now going to have is going to, in an ideal world, it will drive people to our shop or drive people to pick the phone up. But in the real world, it's most likely going to drive people to our website to find out where we are, what we sell, whatever it is. So we've covered that off, and now it's time to really get stuck into content marketing. And there's this concept of pull, don't always push. This is an interesting concept because up until a few years ago, maybe you're still in that kind of mindset of push marketing. Push marketing is buy from me. I'm on sale, buy from me, I've got this to sell, buy it, come in, eat, book, all that type of stuff, which is what we want as small business owners. Boy, do we want that. But as consumers, put your consumer hat on, business hat off, and we want to be engaged. Why should I buy from you? Why should I buy from you instead of the guy or the girl next door? Why should I buy from you when you're that expensive, or whatever it may be? So we need to overcome that. And we do that with pull marketing, where we pull people towards us by showing that we know what we're talking about, that we're passionate about what we do, that we are the market leader, the thought leader, the opinion leader in what we do. And that is what's called content marketing. And the premise of content marketing is simple, and as I touched on it before. Every single one of us is standing on a mountain of knowledge in regards to what we do. I was talking to, so what was your name? John. John owns a tomato store at the Melbourne, the Vic Market. And John was one of those guys who, I've seen the list of everyone coming, who I was thinking, I was a bit apologetic. Not because I should be, but because I just was hoping John would get as much as everyone else is going to get who may have a retail store or a tour business. Because that's, because you would quite, as I was saying at the break, you quite rightly could come and go, oh gee, how am I going to apply this to my business? The reality is, someone's got to be the opinion leader on tomatoes in Australia. Yeah? When the media want an opinion on tomatoes, they've got to go to someone. Yeah? When someone's looking for a particular type of tomato and they're doing a Google search, they've got to go to someone. And so there's a whole lot of reasons why the fact is we all stand on a mountain of knowledge in regards to what we do. What we've got to do, and what many of us maybe aren't doing, is sharing it, right? Because we think, I'm not going to share what I know until you give me some money, all right? And that is detrimental to all our businesses, right? Celebrity chefs give away everything, right? They give away all their IP, but we still buy their books and buy their DVDs and attend their stage shows and stalk them like I do Jamie Oliver. but the reality is, if we share our knowledge, people will build a familiarity and trust and look to us as the font of knowledge within our industry, okay? And I don't mean necessarily being, okay, I want to be the font of all knowledge in regards to cafes. No, it might be cafes in the Melbourne CBD. You want to know anything about cafes in the Melbourne CBD? You come to me, right? Or it might be about coffee in the Melbourne CBD. So you can really niche it down, and that's important because that's where it becomes interesting, and that's where you start to you can own a space in people's minds. So we're standing on a mountain of knowledge. So how do I share that mountain of knowledge? If you agree and can lose any limiting belief that you may have that sharing that mountain of knowledge means I'm going to give away everything and I'm left with nothing, the reality is, if people listen to my show, read my blog, looked at a keynote that I've given that I've posted on YouTube, downloaded my ebook called Cha-Ching, The Sweet, Sweet Smell of Marketing Success, you don't need me. But people buy from people, right? People buy from people. They want to engage, they want to know, they want to understand what you've got to sell and understand what you know about your industry. So there's lots of ways that you can go about content marketing. And by the way, content marketing is not new. I mean, books have been written for thousands of years, right? Book publishing is a form of content marketing. What's exciting is the idea of publishing, or the ability to publish a book, is unbelievably easy for us small business owners. Just go to blurb.com, right? Blurb. So that is a form of content marketing, of which you have sold many, many, many over the years, I'm sure. But everything's becoming easier. And if you can overcome the technical stuff and get Mick the mechanic, and you might not even need Mick the mechanic, but it's incredible. So video, blogs, podcasts, ebooks, iPad apps, testimonials, case studies, roundtables, emags, screencasts, online training, magazines. They're just channels to share your knowledge. That's all they are, right? Nothing magical about it. But there's some steps involved, and we'll go through these steps in the one-on-one health checks. But you've got to know what your editorial mission is. It's an old newspaper term, old magazine publishing term. So if I'm going to publish a magazine, I need to know what my editorial mission is, all right? So Clio's editorial mission, or Cosmopolitan's editorial mission, is, what would one say, to be helping women live a more fulfilling life, or health around women's health. It's probably bigger than women's health. It's just a holistic approach to the way women live. That's their editorial mission. So if they know what that is their editorial mission, then it becomes the filter for everything that magazine produces. If it's not about the editorial mission, it's out. So my editorial mission is small business marketing tips and tricks for service-based businesses. That is my sweet spot. So I know that if I come across an idea, a thought, some information, a resource around small business marketing tips and tricks for service-based businesses, then I'm either going to talk about it on my show, I'm going to blog about it, use it in a keynote, talk about it to a one-on-one consulting client, whatever it may be. Okay, I had someone approach me a few weeks ago wanting to be interviewed on my show because they had this amazing new online bookkeeping software which was going to save small business owners lots and lots of money and time. That's fantastic, but it doesn't fit inside my editorial mission. I'm not interested in bookkeeping, in the financials. I'm interested in marketing communications, right? So my editorial mission allowed me to decide whether that content was on or off. So we need to know what our editorial mission is. And once you know that, content creation becomes much easier, all right? Because you've got that main filter that's going through to help you decide. And we'll talk about your editorial mission when we meet. What is important is that content marketing is a marathon, it ain't a sprint. So if you want inquiry tomorrow, continue to run that ad on the radio or that ad in the local newspaper or whatever it is, because that will get you the inquiry, but it'll also be chip wrapper the next day, right? And I'm not saying advertising is a bad thing, no way. I've seen very successful advertising campaigns, for example, but it can be a bottomless pit. Like, at what point do you stop advertising? And, you know, having worked in a large advertising agency for so long, I know there are so many variables involved in getting your ad right. Now, I won't go too long into advertising, suffice to say that if you're going to run an ad in the local paper, what paper? Which side, the right-hand side or the left-hand side of the page? What size? Black and white or colour? Copy, text, headline, call to action, long copy, short copy? How many variables have we got to get right in order to get the outcome we're looking for, right? So, you know, content marketing on the other hand, and you might run an ad today and get a response tomorrow, get the phone ringing tomorrow, but it's short-lived. Content marketing is the opposite. It's a slow build, you know. I would say, having started my show 3.5 years ago, it probably took 6 months before I started going, there are people listening. Definitely people listening. 6 months it took, and then I go, after that, I'm starting to get listener reviews on iTunes, people leaving comments on my blog, phone calls asking me to speak, and then the machine starts to really, really build up. And you go, wow, this is exciting. I create stuff, people are reading it, listening to it, acting on it. And that's exciting. So it is a marathon, not a sprint. Important to understand. Another concept around content marketing is you integrate offline with online, okay? So this is a wonderful thing. So if you are going to run an ad, you know, this is where it's exciting. Some people go, oh, the old world of marketing's dead. Letterbox drops, advertising. No, it's not. And you know, I'm going to go down the digital path. They live together, you know? So, for example, if you are running an ad on the radio or in the local paper or are doing a letterbox drop around the local businesses or community, then why wouldn't you have a link to a YouTube video that you've created that shows your video business card in action, which we're going to talk about shortly, you know? Why wouldn't you show, if you have a tour, why not put a link to it and show people enjoying that? Or why not put a link to your blog or something that is a little bit more richer than just saying call us and buy or call us and come in? Because people want to be kind of, dare I say, it's that kind of foreplay before the purchase. Okay, so let's get stuck into some forms of content. Specifically, I want to talk about blogging, video, and podcasting. Then we're going to finish on social media. So blogging, great place to start. We touched on blogs before. You know, if you do nothing else from a content marketing point of view, put a blog on your website. Now I'm going to refer to the Loveless Cafe a number of times going forward in the social media section. Now I was looking for different businesses, who's doing YouTube really well, who's doing Facebook, who's doing Pinterest, and then I found the Loveless Cafe in Tennessee, in Nashville, Tennessee, who are nailing every aspect. So a great case study for us all, small business who are really nailing their digital footprint. So this is their blog. I'm going to show you various aspects of their website. So a blog is simply a page on your website or a section of your website that you can update regularly by posts, right? Now, a website platform that I strongly recommend is WordPress. It's a content management system that is basically the back end to your website. Now, the reason I love WordPress is that as a content management system, it's free. It's not free to set up because you can set a WordPress site up yourself, but again, you know, you need Mick the mechanic, or you might do it yourself, or you might go onto Elance and find someone to do it. But WordPress is wonderful because it looks like Microsoft Word, so it's a familiar environment. It won't freak us out when we get in there to write a blog post. It looks like Word. Google love it. You can find support anywhere in the world for it. There's many, many WordPress experts. Put a blog, and WordPress have wonderful blog themes. And what that means is you can just go into your WordPress website, open up, just hit the button that says New Post, right? It says New Post. And then it says, what's the headline? What do you want to say? And then there's some other stuff you can fill out, like that metadata that I was talking about. What's the page title? What's the categories? All that type of stuff. Bit geeky, we can talk about that in our one-on-ones. But then you just write away, okay, around your editorial mission. Google look for 300-word blog posts, but don't kind of feel committed to that. If you see something, you want to take a photo of a new product that's arrived in your store, or you've got a new menu, or new boats arrived as part of your cruise fleet, they'd probably roll up every week, wouldn't they? Not quite every week. But then you just share it on your blog, take a photo and put a little commentary on your blog. It's a very simple way of getting you're adding a page to your website every time you blog, every single time you blog, okay? So that's like content marketing 101 is add a blog to your website. What would I blog about? Well, I'm going to give you, as part of the health check, a little, it's almost a blog post that I wrote, I guess, 151 things to blog about. So you're never going to run out of ideas, okay? They're general themes that you are going to be able to blog about no matter what your business. You like that, don't you? 151, okay? News headlines, client experiences, successes that you've had, frequently asked questions. We get asked the same questions all the time. Why not write a blog post on each? Have your radar on. What are our clients, our customers, our prospects asking us? Blog about it. Observations you've made within your industry or your business. Express opinions. These are simple things that you can blog about that are relevant to your editorial mission, that are relevant to your business, that will keep your website interesting and updated. And as I said, you're going to get a list of 151. Just a reminder before we head into video marketing. We don't care, right? No one cares about our business. I know, kind of half funny, half serious, you know, like we have to create, if you're now going, because we're going down the rabbit hole of content marketing, I've suggested get a blog, about to suggest, I'm not suggesting that, hey, everyone, okay, we're going to get video marketing, go, but I'm suggesting these are very powerful forms of marketing your business. Just remember, if you're going, oh, really, Timbo? Like, come on, mate, I just want to run an ad in the local paper. Well, people don't care. We're not listening. No one out there is waiting for the next message from me or anyone else, right? So it's just a good mindset to have. Video marketing, it's the richest form of content. The reason I say that is because we can watch and we can listen, we can also read. So if we can create a video, people can watch it. There's very simple software that even I can use that you can then drag that video file in and it pulls out the MP3 file, which is the audio of that file. So you've all of a sudden got a podcast if you want it, or at least an audio file that you can also put on your website. Off the audio file, you can send it to your transcriber, who you found on Fiverr or Elance, and they can transcribe it, and all of a sudden that transcription can be read by Google, because Google can't index audio or video right now, but they can look at the words. So the transcription of your video all of a sudden can be indexed by Google, and there's a blog post. All right? So it's very rich content, and what I explained to you then is just a very simple concept called repurposing. And it acknowledges that we all consume information in different ways. Some like to watch, some like to listen, some like to read. Video marketing. Some considerations to lose limiting beliefs. Wow, you know, don't want to look down the barrel of a camera. I look terrible on camera. Think beyond the talking head. Point 3, think beyond it, because I'll show you ways that do video marketing without having to be the person looking down the camera. Don't sweat perfection. This is not Hollywood production stuff. None of us are Spielberg, we don't need to be, right? Get your sound right, absolutely. I'm treading on thin water here. I've got Dan out the back, video extraordinaire, but don't sweat perfection. Hollywood production's great. As you get better at your content creation, your production values will increase. But if you wait until you've got the right light and the right framing and the right words, you won't create a video ever, right? Look back on the first one in a year's time and have a giggle. Share it with your friends. Go, can you believe that? But don't wait till it's perfect. Start creating video. Create useful content, that's obvious. Think beyond the talking head and repurpose your video into other forms, audio and words. What you need, I want to show you this stuff before I give you some examples of video to create. Here's what you need. You've got the video camera. You know, that is a good video camera. Again, limiting belief, I need to save up until I can get the Canon 60D SLR for 1,200 bucks. No, you don't. You've got a video camera. There's some wonderful training that I'm going to point you in the direction of called iVideo Hero, which is a guy I've interviewed, ex-BBC director, who did Bling, Pimp My Ride and Biggest Loser in the UK. He's gone and created a training course for $97 online that shows you how to use your iPhone to create good quality training, marketing videos. Not training videos, marketing videos. Could be training. Okay, so there's your phone. There is a wonderful bit of free software that comes on the Mac called Photo Booth, right? I'll show you, if you want me to do it during the one-on-ones, I'll do it, but just conscious of time. Suffice to say, Photo Booth lives on the Mac. I'm a Mac guy. There might be something on the PC. I'm not sure that the PC comes with something like Photo Booth, but literally you hit the button, it opens up a screen, you can see yourself, you hit record, it counts you down from 3 to 1, get the lippy off the teeth, and then you just go blah, 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 hit stop, drag that file onto your desktop and upload it to YouTube. You know, there's a video, okay? I'm trying to prove to you that it is not difficult to create video content. There's 2 bits of software. That is a Mac, that's called ScreenFlow for Mac, and there is Camtasia for PC. $97, $297. It allows you to record what is happening on your screen and talk at the same time, right? So if you had a picture of your product on the screen, or a picture of anything, think something to do with your business on your screen, you could have a number of pictures, it doesn't matter. ScreenFlow or Camtasia are going to record what's happening. You hit record and you go, okay, just got this product in. It's a wonderful new coffee that we're just starting to stock, and it's very rich and nutty and da-da-da-da-da, and then you hit stop. They've got a button that says, what do you want to do with it? Upload it to YouTube and you're away, right? So this is a way that you don't have to look down the barrel of a camera. If that's not your thing, you can record what's happening on your screen. Very powerful. You also need a geek, okay? I do believe that you need a geek, and I say that very lovingly because I have many on my virtual marketing team, and boy, oh boy, I mean, I couldn't do what I do without them. And again, that's the person to edit, to get your sound right, to do whatever that is, that post-production stuff where you can upload your file to a Dropbox to the cloud and have them edit it, or give it to Dan. So, that's what you need. So, if we now know that it's not Hollywood production, we don't have to look down the barrel of a camera, we already own the camera, then let's look at 6 ways of launching into video. The first one I love is a video business card. And let's have a look at the Loveless Cafe's video business card. This is their video business card. Goes for about, again, 10 minutes. I think it's a bit long. I think 2 to 3 minutes is kind of your sweet spot for video, people's kind of concentration level. But let's have a look at the Loveless Cafe's first 2 minutes.
We've been getting up early at the Loveless Cafe for more than 60 years now. You know, you have to when you make classic Southern meals entirely from scratch.
that's a video business card. And that's kind of like if you're going to spend some dough, and you know, in the back of my head, everything I share with you, I'm kind of going modest or no marketing budget. But spend your $1,500 to $2,000 on a video business card, I think is money well spent. It gives people an absolute insight into what they're going to experience by doing business with you. Okay, I've got my own video business card and it's paid for itself time and time again. And I think that's as relevant a comment to a service provider as it is to someone with a bricks and mortar retail outlet. People buy from people and you build that trust and familiarity. I think it's a wonderful thing to do. Answer your most frequently asked questions. This is gold, right? We get asked lots and lots of questions every week by our prospects. From when are you open, to what do you sell, to how long is it going to take, to why is it so expensive, to why is it so cheap, to everything in between, right? So answer those questions when you get that question face to face or via phone or via email, and then say to the client, hey, listen, I've actually created a video that goes into some detail and answers that question in even more depth. Do you mind if I email it to you? They say that would be lovely. You email it to them, they watch it, you've got a bit of FaceTime with that client, a bit of kind of, you know, they're engaged with your brand. They might even share it. They might even hit the share button on, you know, put it on Twitter or their Facebook or hit like on YouTube or whatever it may be. So frequently asked questions. You would have 10 right now. There's probably 10 other questions that your clients and prospects aren't asking, but they should be asking. So create 10 videos that answer the questions that they should be asking as well. And all of a sudden, you've got a lot of content. Now you can look down the barrel of a camera and do that, but that's where ScreenFlow or Camtasia are very, very useful, because you could have the question on a PowerPoint slide, right? And then you could have another PowerPoint slide where you flick to the answer. The answer may be in a visual form, for example. So that is video content right there. The next one is just saying thank you. Every time I get a speaking gig, I get a phone call from an agent or from someone wanting me to speak, I have that phone call, I immediately create a 2-minute video that just thanks them for the opportunity and says, you know, this is just to confirm, this is the kind of things I'm going to talk about and this is what your audience are going to be left with. And I just send it to them as a YouTube video. There's a button you can tick that says list privately, which means only people with the link can watch it. So it's great, so they can send it to them. I even know when they've watched it because it has number of views, the view count. And so often I'll send a video to one person and it'll be watched 10, 20, 30 times, which means they're sharing it, right? So just saying thank you. Okay, offer an overview. Just overview your business. You know, when I went to, and I guess that's the video business card, but when I went to the XO Tours site, there's that video business card sitting there. Overview your products, overview every single one of your products, overview every single one of your services, and just have an individual video for each one, right? This is content, all right? And over time, if you happen to go, oh, those first ones where I overviewed our services, they were pretty bad, redo them, because hopefully the cost, yeah, absolutely, you can, you know, you'll get to a point where, like the video business card, you do want to spend your $2,000, $1,500, $2,000 and get that one done. But other than that, there's videos that you can be creating. Introduce your staff. Another simple way of creating fun videos. You know, and it could be that you have every single staff member, they'll all be, oh, I don't want to do that. Look to camera and go, hi, I'm Jenny and I've been working here for 3 years and I love this and I love that and this is what I do. That might freak them out. You might have a whole lot of extroverts, so go ahead and do that. But here's another fun way. This is how a summer camp in the States has introduced their staff. Just a bit of fun. I mean, that's just a little, that comes with Apple iMovie, right? So that's a really simple thing. Shoot that on your iPhone and you're away. So nice, simple fun. I love this one. I like the idea of doing store tours. Another video that I'd be creating. Store tour, it's particularly good. You know, this is a dentist. Now this dentist did this, and what's great, you know, if you think about fear, like, wow, you know, like fear ranking 10 out of 10 going to the dentist. So he's created this video which is saying, I'm the dentist, here I am, not a scary monster. This is where you're going to be greeted, this is the reception, this is our rooms, reduces the fear and also builds familiarity and is very good for his Google rankings. So that's just a really great familiarisation with his venue. So there's some forms of video that you could be creating, like really simple stuff that's going to give you useful content that people are going to benefit from, that your customers are going to benefit from, and it's going to help you rank on Google, it's going to help you answer customer questions. I love it when a client or a prospect rings me and asks me a question about something, and generally, because I've been creating content for so long, I can say, I answer that question, and then I can send them a video or an audio or a blog post or a written report that I've done on that particular topic. And it just kind of positions you as someone who knows what they're talking about. Anyone listen to podcasts? Anyone listen to a podcast? Great. So that's becoming, it's a sleeping giant. I've been saying that for a few years now. Podcasts have been around for 8 years. I've been doing them for 3.5. I just think they're amazing. I can't speak highly enough, and I'm completely biased because I've got my own and it's done me very well. But here's the thing. As a small business, we can have our own show. I mean, I find that incredible. I remember listening to my first podcast 7 years ago. His name was Phil McKenney. He was a Vice President of Innovation at Hewlett-Packard, and he had a podcast, and still has, called Killer Innovations. And I've gone, that's one guy. He works for a big company, but it's his podcast, and he's got his own show that I'm listening to on my iPod in my own time that I've chosen to download. I mean, the geek in me just goes, that is unreal, both from a technical point of view and from just a marketer's point of view. So you can have your own show. A podcast is literally an online radio show. So let me just very briefly explain. It's an audio file. It's an MP3. I go blah, 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 hit stop, upload to Dropbox, and Jack, who's my editor, edits it for $15. Okay, a little bit more complicated than that because I've got an intro and an outro, and I do a little bit of speaking before the interview and after the interview, and there's about 6 files, but I upload them to Dropbox and he stitches them together and then goes on my website. So here's an interview I did with Mia Friedman. There's the file, that's the MP3 file in an audio player format. Hit play, it starts. You can download it. You can go to iTunes and subscribe to it for free and listen to it in your own time. There's some description of what I talk about, so Google can index it. And if you were to scroll down, there'd be a comment section. 19 people have left comments about that, and so there's some interaction and engagement and brand building and all that type of stuff. But that's a podcast. It lives on iTunes. This is not my podcast on iTunes, but this is what they look like. This is a financial advisor. This is at iTunes, biggest music store in the world. You can download videos and music and apps. And podcasts, they have a button at the top. I mean, Apple put a lot of reliance on podcasts as a form of content. They see that there's lots of people downloading podcasts, so we should make it really available on the iTunes store. And again, you can just subscribe for free. There's a link, always goes back to the website, and all the episodes are listed there. Very, very simple. So what you need for a podcast is this: a laptop or a computer. That's all, a computer. It doesn't need to be a MacBook, it just needs to be a computer. I have a $200 microphone called a Blue Yeti that I bought on the Apple Store. I then do all my interviews on Skype, okay? A free VoIP telephony service on the internet. You can call landlines or other people on Skype. I have a $20 app called Skype Call Recorder where I record everything I'm saying, and it gives me 2 files, the guest's file, the interview, and my speaking file, and I send that off to my editor and send it off to Jack. That's not Jack, but he's my geek for the editing. Okay, and that's it. And if I'm recording just myself, I use a product called Audacity, which is a free piece of editing software. Again, free, and it's fantastic. So that is what I use to create Australia's #1 marketing show, and has built a huge audience. Downloaded in 94 countries last month, including Kazakhstan. Don't know who's listening there, but okay. Here's some ways for you, like I'm big on podcasting. What I love about podcasting, video has potentially greater conversion because, and when I say conversion, watch video, buy, right? Because video, you can be watching it and then it finishes and then there's the buy now button. So if you're selling online, video's ace because you can have, okay, hope you liked what I said, below is the buy now button, happy days, and as soon as you buy, I'll be dispatching your product within 24 hours, whatever it may be. Podcasting doesn't have that. I get a lot of listener email and letters saying, you know, I listen to you in the gym, I listen to you in bed at night, I listen to you walking the dog, so people are driving, commuting, in the train, all that type of stuff. So they don't have that immediate access to go and act, but more people can listen to podcasts because you can be anywhere, anytime, and not having to be either focused on the screen. You can't be driving and watch a video. So here's some things you could do from a podcast perspective. And this is rich content. Again, rich content. This is the content that for me has boosted my Google rankings the most in my case. And I produce one show every week, uploads on a Tuesday. You could do a 10-part series. You could go, you know what, I'm not going to commit to doing a podcast year in, year out, no way. But you could do a 10-part series, 5-part series, 12-part series, where you go, okay, I'm going to explore, there's 12 different topics under my editorial mission that I'm going to explore. And within each of those, I'm going to talk for 30 minutes about them. And that might be you talking for 30 minutes about them, or it might be you and your business partner, or it might be you and a guest, but it's a 10-part series, and that's it. 10 blog posts, a 10-part series. It lives on 10 blog posts on your website, can live on iTunes and other podcast directories, of which there are many. Opinion pieces. Okay, so I had an accountant client who was incredibly opinionated. His name was Sam. And Sam, every time I saw him, Sam he had a particular passion for tradespeople and how they didn't spend their money very well or run their businesses very profitably because they were always on the tools. And he'd go blah, 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 blah. And I'd go, Sam, I'm not a tradesperson, but I love the fact that you're passionate and have an opinion. You need a podcast. So we're going to call it Sam's Soapbox, and you're going to get up on your soapbox for 5 minutes each episode and go blah, 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 blah. And he did, and it drew so much traffic to his business. And when the tradesman rang and said, oh, Sammy, you know, I need to speak to you. I can't get off the tools, and I've got all these people wanting to quote, and I've got to be out there quoting, and my blokes are always sick. And he goes, that's all right. I've got A, I'll see you, and B, I've got this episode of Sam's Soapbox, which is my show. You know, you can say I've got my show that tackles that head on. So, expressing an opinion if you're of that ilk. Interview series. Another way of doing it is that you might just want to go, you know what? Tomatoes, you know, there is a whole lot of people. There's people who grow that type of tomato, and then there's that bloke in Italy who creates that type of tomato, and there's that lady down on the Mornington Peninsula who's got these amazing tomato recipes, and I'm just going to create all these different episodes. I'm going to interview these people and get them to share their passion for tomatoes, and I'm going to interview them. The interview series, I just put a kind of caveat around and say, make sure that you express your own opinions around that because you don't want to be the journalist. All right? I fell into that in my first 6 months of podcasting where I just kind of went from Tim, the guy who knows a lot about marketing, to Tim, the guy who's interviewing others who know a lot about marketing, and I became a journalist, not qualified or anything, but just express opinions around an interview series. You may have a business partner, and I had a co-host on my show for the first 18 months, Luke. We created 80 episodes together, and it was fantastic. Because he's a mate, still is a mate. He decided to take a full-time job, have a family, move down to Red Hill, so he stopped podcasting with me, but great banter. So if you don't want to sit there behind a mic by yourself, find a business partner or a colleague of which you do have a good kind of relationship with and can have some great banter around your editorial mission. The fifth way is to mix it up. You may have a mixture of express an opinion. It's pretty much what I do in my show. I express an opinion, I give an update on something that's happening in marketing, I do the interview, which is the guts of my show. Off the back end of that interview, I share 3 learnings that came from that interview, and then I send people off to visit my website, join my forum, book me for a marketing talk. So, you know, lots and lots of content, 99% content. If you wait till the end, I'll sell you. Book me, buy from me, but really kind of, you know, I've kind of learnt that you've got to just be, I hate selling, I don't go there. So podcasting, that brings us to the end of content marketing. For this part of the session, digital marketing health check, we're going to kind of identify a form of content that's right for you. Suffice to say that I just need to reinforce the fact that it's a marathon, not a sprint. Understand what it is you're going to talk about, blog about, video about. We've covered a number of ways that you can do it. Hopefully you've looked at it as being not too technical, you know, and the technical aspects you now know how to overcome, and that you just got to start somewhere. It's not Hollywood production, none of it is, okay? You'll get better over time, your production qualities will get better over time. And what we've covered is the ability to give you things to say, right? You've now got stuff to say. You've got blog posts, you've got interviews, you've got frequently asked questions on video, you've got store tours, you might have filmed some customer testimonials, which we didn't even talk about, but that's another form of video content, etc., etc., etc. You've got stuff to say, which you can now put on social media, because social media is just people having conversations online. Now, fortunately or unfortunately, you've got a guy up here who's not going to tell you to go and get on Facebook, get on Twitter, get on Pinterest, get on Instagram. Maybe you should, but you've just got to remember there's some rules of the road to acknowledge before you do. There's too many social media people out there kind of just going, Facebook is the silver bullet. Oh no, it's not. There is no silver bullet in marketing. But all this stuff we covered today plus more, I believe 1 and 1 equals 11. You know, when you start to piece them together, you all of a sudden start to get a really rounded, rich marketing experience and you start to build a brand. So if social media is just people having conversations online, that's also important too, because people get lost in hashtags and retweets and likes and pins and all this kind of language that social media industry has created. And I think that's a blockage to us getting online, because like, what's a hashtag? Someone retweeted what I said. Is that okay? I had a client ring me about that once. So I had another client ring me. Someone just started following me on Twitter. What should I do? Go home. Give oxygen to yourself first and then to the child sitting next to you. But it's just people having conversation online. There is a number of channels, as you can see. Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn, Pinterest, Google+, and Instagram in itself. A bit scary, really. But don't be scared, because we should identify one, master it, and then move on. Some rules of the road. It's not marketing silver bullet, okay? Don't let anyone ever tell you it is. It's hungry. If you're going to open up a Facebook, a Pinterest, an Instagram, a YouTube channel, you have now created a monster, and a very friendly monster potentially that will do your business good. But it's hungry, okay? Do not go to start a channel and then not populate it. I interviewed about one of the most famous interviews I did, the most talked about interviews I did was with the general manager of sales for Yellow Pages, hey? Bit of a dirty word these days for small business owners, but long story short, we got him in because most small business owners 2.5 years ago were kind of going through that question, should I stay or should I go? So I go, we get the boss of Yellow Pages in, we'll talk to him, you know. I did my homework on that interview prior to him coming in, and I went to Yellow Pages' Twitter page and it hadn't been updated for 9 months. 9 months, that's a big company, nothing. I go, wow, that's confirming what I already thought. You know, that's a brand that's really going to struggle with this new kind of form of media. If you are going to open any of these channels, have content ready to go. It's hungry. People are talking anyway. People are talking about drinking coffee in Melbourne or buying fashion in Melbourne or going on a tour in Melbourne. They're talking. That is happening. Like, we can't debate that. So acknowledge that and you can choose to be part of that. If you do enter it, don't lose interest, okay? You're in there for the long haul. You're going to open up a Facebook or any of these channels, you've got to be in it for the long haul. It's not going away. It is absolutely not going away. If Facebook is dying for a certain demographic, they're going to pick up another one, you know? I've got 3 kids and I just marvel at the way they consume and adopt new media, okay? But it's no longer just the realm of the 12 to 20-year-old who's nailing all this. As I said, 45-year-old women are the highest rate of adoption of Facebook at the moment. But it is amazing. I mean, we are now living in a world where there are digital natives, 0 to about the age of 25. It is just part of what they do, you know? Old dad here kind of still freaks out. They don't come home and ring their friends, have a chat and go and do their homework. They are on there all the time, you know? So it's interesting, that's a conversation in itself. But suffice to say that the world's changed, but it isn't just the young kids who are on this. Everyone, some way, shape or form. If you don't think your prospects are on it, right? Maybe their friends are, and their friends are seeing stuff and feeding back to prospects. I saw this wonderful tour on Facebook. I know you're not on Facebook, but you've got to check it out. Look to mate, that type of conversation. So think of 1 or 2 steps removed. Listen first. If you don't get onto social media, that's cool, but use it as a form of cheap marketing research. I call it marketing voyeurism, right? where people, you, us business owners, can go to Twitter or Facebook or LinkedIn or YouTube, search box, there is a search box, and key in carpentry Melbourne, building services Melbourne, drinking coffee in De Grave Street, going on a tour on the Yarra. There'll be conversations around all those things, and it will feed back to you from the most recent conversation down what people are saying. So have a listen. See what they're saying. Are they asking questions? Are they frustrated? Are they annoyed? Are they excited? Just have a listen to what they're saying and how they're saying it. What language are they using? So let's break it down a little bit and have a look at how the Loveless Cafe goes about it. So if you have gone, okay, so it's not going away, people are having conversations anyway, I've had a listen, gee, there are some interesting conversations, I should join them, I'll be able to help and contribute and share some content that I've created and engage with people, then that's a good thing. Okay, well then let's identify a social media platform that's right for your business and take it from there. So the Loveless Cafe seem to be getting it right. They get it right, and we won't go through it in great detail, but we will go through each of their social media presence. So what we've got is, what you're going to see first of all is they acknowledge this concept of touch points, this beautiful consistency through every social media platform. You know you're in the world of Loveless Cafe. So they've got this kind of image here that we always see and this signage here. They've got a lot of engagement and they're sharing great stuff. They're sharing a whole lot of, they're sharing things that are happening. If we were to scroll down, the day I took this page, they had a photo of bride and groom who'd gone there for their wedding photos. They had some bacon recipe because they had a National Bacon Week happening. They've got, even an icon needs a little upkeep. Thanks to the folks at Joslin Signs for getting the neon humming again. So they've had some signage work done. They're just creating noise and buzz and interest. Oh, there's always, I reckon the takeout would be, they've gone, what we want to do with Facebook, guys, is just give people a sense that there's always stuff happening at the Loveless Cafe, right? If that's the case, then getting the sign fixed, having a wedding, people enjoying, a bacon recipe, there's a cooking class, there's all sorts of stuff going on. And what they've done here, these are called apps. And Facebook give you 4 apps that appear at the top underneath your header here. So you have complete influence about what appears here and here. This is called your avatar. And then these things, that will always be photos. But see how they're trying to build a list? They're getting people to sign up for a list. You can go and visit their Pinterest and you can go and visit their Instagram. So they're kind of sharing the love via other channels as well. And this is their page on Instagram. No, this is their Facebook page still. So yeah, this is the additional cuts of their Facebook page. So here's the wedding. They've got some fundraiser for the dog shelter rescue. They've got some gear coming out of the oven. They're just engaging you. It's just people having conversations online, and people are there, now you're talking. So people are having conversations. This is a conversation happening that you can respond to and start to build that engagement with your audience. Now you might go, I don't have time to go and be responding to conversations all the time. I reckon that's a limiting belief, because you aren't going to open up your Facebook or give your Facebook a tickle if you've already got one to be inundated with hundreds of likes and comments in the first day or in the first week or in the first month or maybe in the first 6 months. It's just not going to happen. So it's that limiting belief. Now what it may be is that you do have to spend an hour every 2 days adding content and responding to people. But that's an hour of marketing your business. So surely that's important, okay? Because the opportunity cost of that is, well, I won't market my business, or I should say the alternative, I won't market my business, or I might run some ads, okay? Now, again, we won't go down that advertising burrow. Suffice to say it's going to cost you money, and that's going to take time, and that's going to be short-lived. Whereas this stuff is about engaging and developing conversation. So, look, you've got to find the time. I don't think there's not that magical answer, except to say that it doesn't necessarily mean you've got to be stuck behind your computer doing it. You can be on your smartphone, your iPad, out and about. Okay, so the Loveless on YouTube, we've seen their video. We saw this video, but they have got, how many did they have? 67. So one of the things about YouTube, it allows you to create playlists. So instead of just having a whole lot of videos, you can actually break them up into playlists. So they have favourite videos, video tours, and stuff around the store. I think it's poorly named actually, because if I watched a few of these, there's lots of how-tos, how to cook bacon and eggs, or how to cook an apple pie, or how to do this, how to do that, which is fantastic because how-to is one of the most searched prefixes on the internet. People are going to how to the whole time. So if you've got videos that answer the question how to, then you're in business. You're going to rank well for your industry. But each of these playlists contain lots of videos. So they've got a great YouTube channel, again on brand with the cookies about to go into the oven in the background. They've got links to their website, and every one of their videos is beautifully labelled. It's got links to their website, which is really important, so that when people watch that video and go, loving these guys, they can head off to the website, and it's a very well populated YouTube channel. Then they've got Loveless Cafe on Instagram, and this is a great one. So for this program with the City of Melbourne, most of your, in fact, I'm trying to think, there's probably not a business here that isn't visual. You know, like you've got such a visual story, such visual content to sell. Sharing photos. Instagram is probably the easiest social media of them all. One of the things I'm going to do in the Digital Marketing Health Check is give you a fact sheet that I've written for each. So it's kind of going to go through the details of each of the more detailed aspects of these social media platforms. Suffice to say that this is the easiest channel of them all because it's literally take a photo, upload to Instagram, okay, which can then be connected to your Facebook and people can comment and share those photos, okay. So one of the great things here is that the City of Melbourne have a beautiful program called the Social Hub using a bit of software called Stackler. Stackler is just the software in the background that's working. The Social Hub will be sitting on their website, and if and when each one of you register, you just need to use the hashtag, the hashtag Melbourne. There might be a couple of hashtags, but one is hashtag Melbourne, so the hash symbol, Melbourne. Social Hub will recognise that Instagram upload or that tweet or that Facebook update and push it into the City of Melbourne's feed, which is really exciting because all of a sudden, you know, if you didn't have that, then you'd just be tweeting and Instagramming and Facebooking to your audience, which might be 10 people or 500 people. With the Social Hub, we're talking thousands and thousands and thousands of people. So you're getting that amazing leverage. So good reason to be creating content. So Instagram is a very, very simple social media that just allows you to upload photos. And you might just look at that and go, but that's just photos of food and stuff. But don't question it because people, us and the people out there, do love the whole visual thing. I mean, it's made for it. You know, the smartphones, the iPhones, that whole thing is made to look at pictures. So it works. This is their Twitter feed. Again, beautiful consistency. And, you know, here's some stuff. Never know who'll stop by. These folks made a detour by Loveless Cafe, so they've got a hashtag on their way from Boston to San Francisco. And so the Loveless Cafe, whoever's responsible for the social media or for the Twitter feed at Loveless, have just taken a photo. And if I clicked on that, I'm sure that it would upload a photo of their clients having fun. Let's have a look at some others. Thought you should know Loveless Cafe has a bacon pimento cheeseburger now. So this person is telling this person that there's something on the menu that they should try. So how cool is that? I mean, that's one of the great things about social media is that, you know, it's this kind of third-party endorsement either between real friends or in my case with XO tours and going to Saigon, virtual friends who I'd never met but were telling me to go on such and such a tour. So that Instagram, that's Twitter. Pinterest is massive. I mean, Pinterest has just kind of come on the scene maybe 12 months ago, and it's just these opportunities to create these virtual boards, these virtual pin boards. So what it allows you to do is say, you know, a handyman guy, you could have a board about small renovations within Melbourne apartments and all the different work you've done on that. You could have another one about little how-tos about how to change washers or how to fix doorknobs and pictures on that. Then you can have another one about just all sorts of different aspects of your business. You can have a virtual pin board for each and every one of them. And what's great about that is every time you pin a photo from your website onto your Pinterest board, it's a backlink back to your site. So it's a very quick way of getting a site to link back to your site, as well as creating a kind of visual story of your business. And that's why I'm quite excited. I mean, can you see, like, particularly Instagram and Pinterest, two of the easier social media channels, both of which allow conversations to happen, but so incredibly easy to create and maintain, and just a great representation of your business. Loveless Cafe, you know, so that's their kind of activity on all those major social media platforms, plus they've really nailed it. So if I do Cafe Nashville, then they've come up #1. So geotag search, industry plus suburb. They've come up really well. They've got, you know, they've got their photos right, always using the same photo, you know. always clicking through and, you know, making sure that there's this consistency. Brand map, I should say. So they've basically verified it. They've got 358 reviews. I mean, Google are going to love them. The more this thing gets populated, and you encourage your customers. I do it. I mean, people write to me, say, I love your show. And I go, that's great, thanks. You're the one listening. That's my ongoing gag. You're the one listening. And can you leave a review on iTunes? Would you mind leaving a written review on iTunes? Because they've gone to the trouble of writing a long email to me. I say, can you just cut and paste that and leave it on iTunes? Because it boosts my ego and my rankings. Another little gag that I have a bit of fun with. Clearly wearing thin. But so, and you've got Urban Spoon, Road Food, Insider Pages, Dine.com, they've got reviews on that. So it becomes a very rich source. And look, like they're right up the top. I didn't even key in Loveless. I just searched. I want to go to a cafe in Nashville. They're number one. Look how many. Urban Spoon, again, just following them, Loveless down the rabbit hole. They're all over it. They're all over it. They've just kind of, they have. I mean, I've actually sent them. I was hoping I would be able to say I've interviewed them, but about when I came across them 2 weeks ago, I sent them an email. They haven't responded, which is kind of interesting. A bit of a letdown, because I want to interview them, and I will find whoever is, because they have got, that is a big social media platform, and not for a second I'm saying everyone do that. If any of you get there, fantastic, because it's a good place to get to in terms of having all that activity, but I am guessing, although the fact that no one's responded kind of says to me maybe they don't have a dedicated person, but looking at the skill and the consistency and the regularity of their updates, it says to me that they do have a social media person. They've filled out their Yelp. There's a number of directories too, online directories that you get free listings in, Yelp being one of them. Yellow Pages offering that free service. Not Gumtree, that's not a directory, but some of those little ones, that's kind of a secondary play. It's neither here nor there. Google Plus is the big one. What's important is that it all leads back to there, right? It all goes back to there, the website. So we might have gone through and seen all this kind of cool Pinterest and YouTube and Instagram activity, but if it's good, people are either going to pick up the phone, come into your shop, or most likely visit your website. So this is where it gets really exciting. In taking advantage of the City of Melbourne's, I touched on that earlier, but this is where it gets really exciting. So that concept I described earlier, where you could be pushing out photos on your Instagram to your 50 followers or your 500 followers, whatever you've got, punching out tweets, doing Facebook likes, putting videos up, absolutely do it. But because you're part of this program and because you're party within the City of Melbourne precinct, they're using this wonderful software called Stackler, which is showing itself via this web presence called Social Hub, which has a much greater audience. So if you use, I was wondering, the hashtags, it's hashtag Melbourne, it's hashtag in between Melbourne. So the team here is going to pick up any update that you do with that hashtag in it and immediately push it through their funnel, which has a much greater audience. So that's exciting because that's like leverage at work big time. All of a sudden, what you were putting out there to your audience is now going to a much wider audience. That brings us to the end. So, you can pick the limiting beliefs up at the door by all means, but please don't. If there was one bit of advice, opportunity is now here. I mean, there has never been a better time to market a small business. Hopefully that passion and excitement came through. I'm doing it for my business. I see many businesses who are doing it. You can too. That's the idea of the one-on-one health checks where we will get together and have that discussion specific to your business, which does involve a little bit of pre-work on your behalf, which isn't too onerous, but you'll find really useful to do nonetheless. It's going to come in a little folder with a little envelope, prepaid, postage paid envelope, which we love, and it's going to allow you to create two sections basically. Section 1 is basically for me to get a sense of where you're at with your business. So it's asking questions like, how do you perceive the marketing of your business? How many hours are you doing on marketing a week? Who's responsible? Which are the initiatives that you undertake, you really love and are getting a return from? What's really annoying you about your marketing? Who have you got on your virtual marketing team? All those types of questions. So that'll literally take, like a 10, 15 minutes to fill out. And then section B allows us to get stuck into the actual nitty-gritty and do the work on your business aspect of it. So there's 3 questions in section B, actually 4. What is your business's story? So remember that 4 frogs example I gave you? I'm going to encourage you to write that, okay? Now again, limiting belief, I'm not a copywriter, I hate creativity. Kind of lose that, because right now you can take that pressure off you. One of the people that I'm going to suggest you put on your virtual marketing team is a copywriter. I think we should all have a copywriter on our virtual marketing team, because none of us, well, maybe some of us are writers, but generally speaking, we are small business owners who do our small business very good, but the writing can be quite painful left to the last minute. But great writing can have such a great marketing return. So just get your business's story down. I'm going to get you to articulate who your best mates are. So going beyond that kind of demographic description and just going into a little bit more about who they are, you know, what makes them happy, what problems do they have that your business can solve, how do they feel about buying in an industry such as yours, and understanding them at that level. How do you want people to describe your business? And get you to articulate, again, just those 3 to 4 personality traits that you're trying to build a brand around. So if someone was to say, what's that business like? Those are those 3 to 4 words, and they form such a powerful brief for the writer, for anyone designing touch points around your business. Everything needs to have a personality and be on brand. And so that's the homework or the pre-work, and all I need is that to be returned to me via that envelope or emailed to me at least 48 hours, preferably more, 48 hours before we meet. So I can get a sense. I'm going to go and I'll have had a look at your website, I'll have had a look at what you've put into that pre-work, and then we can hit the ground running. We've got 3 hours together, so I really want to make the most of that. And you know, if you do have some marketing questions on your mind, you know, have them front and centre that we can tackle then. But there will be a bit of a process we work through, but the rest of it, I just want to keep it open so that we cover exactly what you want to cover. And I'm just going to be kind of, not madly scribbling, because I'll be probably doing a lot of talking and conversing, but at the end, I'm just going to be writing down some action points of things that you should be doing that I think would enable you to get your message right, choose a form of content that will be right for you and your business, and a social media platform that will allow you to get that out there. So, look, I've thoroughly enjoyed the eclectic mix of businesses in this room. It's the most eclectic mix that I've ever had to present in front of, which I absolutely love. I mean, it's exciting. I can't wait to get out and do the health checks with you, because I think we can do some great stuff. You're standing on a mountain of knowledge, all of you, and you've got so much interesting stuff to share visually, on video, in words. So thank you so much for allowing me to share that with you for the last 3 hours, and I'll see you at the health check. Thank you.